What's up, folks? Welcome to High Level's Masterclass. As you might know, we are in the middle of summer of AI in this summertime, this period that we're in. It's a unique timeline because we almost never do promos, and this is one of the few times in the entire year you can take advantage of it. So what we're doing with these master classes is very simple. We're identifying top leaders, people that are thriving in the community when it comes to AI. We're bringing them on our virtual stage and saying, hey, listen, can you come and teach us something that is unique? Walk us through an AI world. What does it look like to build a business around all this AI stuff? So we have Carson Reed here today. If you are watching for the first time, this is going to be a special segment, I promise you. Carson has been climbing the affiliate leaderboard for over a year now, I want to say. He's been critically part of our affiliate motion across the teams. And, I'm excited for it. So the team put together a bio for me to read out, Carson, if you're okay with that. I'm going to read this out.
Let's
You
let's
tell
hear it.
me if I'm missing something or, add to it. So
Let's
Carson
go.
Reed is an entrepreneur, an agency owner, and a content creator helping medical businesses implement AI systems that generate, qualify, and book more patient appointments. Through his agency, he works with clinics and service businesses to install AI driven marketing, sales, and appointment setting infrastructure designed to drive measurable growth. On the content side, Carson documents his whole entire journey building in the AI agency space, sharing YouTube videos, breakdowns, tutorials, real world lessons around client acquisitions, fulfillment, paid advertising, of course, go high level, and automation and scaling even high ticket services around this. His brand focuses on practical execution, transparency, and helping others build real AI powered businesses. How's that, man?
That's 10 out of 10. That's spot on. I
So
like it.
Carson, how did you get started as a entrepreneur? Walk us through your first iteration of where you like jumped off the cliff and said, "You know what, Paulson, I'm going to make an airplane on the way down."
Yeah, no, 100%. So I'm sure I'll kind of go into it as I kind of go through my whole presentation and spiel here. But really, I started because, well, when you really go back, I played a lot of video games growing up. So I'm 20 years old now. I just turned 20. So I started my agency when I was 16 years old. So a little bit younger for sure, still in high school. And over COVID, when I was like 14, 15 years old in that range, I kind of hit like a rock bottom point where I was kind of super addicted to video games. I didn't have much going for me. And I was like, I went to a school for like 1 or 2 years where like a lot of wealthy kids were at, and I almost like was like, how do I get money like them? Because like my parents did well, but they never did like insane well. Like I would see a crazy amount of wealth there, and I was like, how do I get that? So it kind of led me down this rabbit hole of watching videos online about how to make money, how to start a business, and eventually stumbled across. I started a bunch of different businesses. Started drop shipping, uh, clothing brands. Like I started everything you could kind of imagine, and eventually came across the SMMA business model or social media marketing agency model when I was 16. So I ended up buying a course at the time with a couple other friends. We split it and kind of just went all in really for a long time. I didn't see many results, to be honest. For 6 straight months, it was like it was pretty hard, but it was sticking through those months. By month 6, 7, 8, it started to really progress and kind of take off. And yeah, like what's cool about it is, I'm sure we'll talk about it a bit, Paulson, but I documented the entire thing and it was super accidental. Like I just kind of picked up a camera and I was just like, hey guys, this is a review of my first 6 months. And then did it month 7, month 8, month 9. And people could kind of see me go from $0 a month to 5K, 10K, 20K a month all the time when I was 17. And it's super like unique because you can kind of just watch the whole thing back. But yeah, it was honestly hitting a low point over COVID and just randomly, like it's all self-education, it's like YouTube videos, everything out there can really change your life if you use it and stick with it. And obviously HighLevel has been a big part of that. I started using HighLevel when I was, I think 16 as well. So I've been using you guys for, almost 4 years now. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Carson, it just hit me that you were 13 or 12 years old when we came into the market. Now you're 20.
Probably
We've
around
been
there.
around for about 7 years. So,
Probably around there.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's insane to me. What's cool is age is just a number. We've seen people from all kinds of ranges, kind of like you, where they're starting off in their career as this big thing. And we've seen people that are retired after multiple careers and they're using the agency model as a way to sail off into the sunset, right? So we see
Yeah.
different motivations, different ways of doing this. But one thing I do know as our good friend Joel Kaplan will tell us, setting appointments and closing appointments is the only thing that matters, right?
Saka.
So
Yeah. I remember he'd always say that. Yeah. That was one of the early programs I joined when I was 17. And yeah, I met a lot of friends I actually still have today in there.
I love it. So why AI? Why is that a thing? And I know you have some slides you want to pull up and kind of share through that, but how did you get into this interest of like building an AI agency and teaching that to hundreds and hundreds of people now?
Yeah. So the way I see it is like AI is just, and I think a lot of people, there's a lot of hype online. And if I'm controversial to anyone that comes on, these videos, I don't mean to be, but a lot of people, AI is super overhyped in a lot of ways where people think they can make a ton of money with things that quite frankly just like the quick example I can give you is like building like NAN automations for businesses. I think that stuff is super overhyped and it's like yes, it's value and it's worth it. But for $20 because you can find people on Fiverr for $20. You need to go deliver an entire service and a system that will essentially I kind of frame it as like bridging the whole gap, right? You want to give a business owner a brick, you want to give them the whole bridge. And with the agency service model, it's great, social media marketing and lead gen because you get the lead for them. But there's a problem is once you generate that lead, what happens to lead? Your client doesn't want a huge list of a bunch of name, email, phone numbers that they have to then go call up. They'd rather just open their calendar and see a bunch of appointments on there that they can just jump on and close at the selected time. So AI kind of came in when I was, I think, turning 18, maybe a little bit before then. AI callers started to get really good, and it allowed this level of efficiency where I could add on this AI like process essentially. So like my marketing agency service is normal, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, but I can now use AI to call up these leads and book them into your client's calendar completely almost on autopilot. And the best part about this service is it's going to get better over time. Like AI, there's a saying, it's like AI is the worst it's ever going to be today. Like as we're talking right now, it's going to get better tomorrow and it's going to get better the next day. And the rate at which it improves is insane. So it's honestly just allowed my main basic foundational business model just to be more efficient, from the ads, using AI to make the ads, to converting these leads into appointments. We don't have to use a call center. Or humans, we can just use an AI caller to do it. It cut costs and it saves time. That's all it's done. It hasn't necessarily changed the entire service. And it's super useful for a lot of things, but a lot of people, like they build apps all day, but the apps don't make any money. Like there's the 0.001% that do, or like, you know what I mean? But it's just like, you want to start a regular service-based business, in my opinion, especially if you're a beginner, and you just have AI make it more efficient. You don't want to go try to start some revolutionary app if you have no money, just because it's very hard, on like a scale of 1 to 10, like difficulty level, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, when they start off business, they think of this like Steve Jobs, innovation, Apple, like, visual, where in reality, you need to take something that already exists and make it a little bit better and do the
Exactly.
boring stuff, right? The boring businesses somehow do pretty well if you have the right systems and SOPs in place. So, Carson, if you want to pull up your slides, go right
Yeah,
ahead.
let's do it.
For those of you that are watching this live, first of all, welcome in. We've about 6, 7 minutes into the session. I want to know where you're checking in from. Tell me what city, state, region, time zone, wherever you're watching. I know some of you are watching from like Australia and UK and all these places. So we appreciate you jumping in early or staying up late. And our goal with these slides is to keep our conversation organized and structured a little bit. Um, we hope it's not going to be corporate, boring kind of a feel.
I
It's more
promise I won't
more
make it
like,
boring. I won't make it boring.
well, I don't think you will, but it just when people see slides, they're just like, it's just
They tune
another
out. Yeah.
sales pitch. So I promise you that's not the intention. Our intention is to just share the opportunity of AI that's that's here right now and is here to stay, especially in the local business. Carson, first question is, the niching down. You said medical agencies. Is that a thing, or do you feel like AI would work for multiple industries, or like what's your recommendation of when to even niche down?
Yeah, we'll get into it. I've
Okay.
prepared some certain sections around that, but when it comes to like my opinion on industries and choosing your niche of clients to work with, like I like to say people think saturated is a bad thing, but a saturated is just another word for proven, right? Like it just means there's a bunch of other people just like you offering a similar thing that what you're doing that are making money in the same industry. It just means you're going to have competition. Like people try to look for the unsaturated niches out there. Maybe it's like carpet cleaners or like wedding, venue companies. Like those can work, but it's just unproven. You're just taking, it's like high risk, high reward. When it comes to niching down, I think like honestly, this, like I started with real estate agents, right? That's how I went when I was 16 years old. I picked the niche and I went from 0 to like 20K a month in the niche. And that's like what really kind of made my name in the space on YouTube. You can look back on me kind of talking about it. And that's like considered the most saturated niche out there. So like, I think niching down, you don't want to be broad because it's like there's a saying, it's like you just don't want to be average at all and a master of none. You want to niche down to one industry and just stick with it for like 3 to 6 months. It could be real estate, it could be HVAC, it could be roofing, it could be, doesn't matter, honestly. Like most industries do pretty well. There's some that are technically easier than others. But it kind of just really stems on like your personal experience and all those type of factors that come into like, I guess, the knowledge you have on the industry. But niching down, you should definitely just be in one niche, and just get really good, and you can kind of like productize your fulfillment.
Yeah, and is it possible to niche down from a technology standpoint where you're niche down in the AI, voice AI, or if it's like, maybe you're just niche down as the landing page guy, or like like is there a way to
Yeah.
niche down from a tech standpoint, or does it always have to be industry related?
I mean, the thing with the tech, right, is you can kind of do so much so easy now where it's like you can do a lot of things like HighLevel has so many features around like building websites, that you can have AI build the entire thing, or building voice agents. Like you can prompt it and it's pretty much set up in a matter of 5-10 minutes. Like you don't need to know how to code to do any of this stuff. And these are things business owners will pay maybe as low as a few $100s for, all the way up to thousands of dollars for. So it's like, as far as like limitations around like technology on what you can offer, like in my agency, we have our core fundamental service, which I'm going to talk about today, which is primarily ads in the AI voice. And there's a lot of things that kind of go into that, but then also we'll also upsell them on SEO, or we'll upsell them on a new website if they need it for their business. Like you can kind of always upsell, like I'll get in the weeds, but there's so much tech you can offer today. You just, when you're starting out, you really want to stay simple. I was saying like simple scales, and I think a lot of beginners, they try to overcomplicate things because it sounds cool. But at the end of the day, like I know, super successful business owners that have been around for 30, 40 years, and they do the most boring sounding businesses in the world, but they just work,
Yeah,
right? Because it's the same old stuff that's always worked. It's not flashy or cool. So
absolutely. So let's get into your slides.
let's do it.
Why voice AI? Why did that become a thing for you?
Yeah, it was really just, again, it was about efficiency. Like it was really just around me looking at, okay, I have X amount of dollars a month coming out of my pocket to these call centers, or VAs or sales reps, setters on my team to convert these leads that I generate for clients and then book them onto their calendar. But AI can come in and do this for 12 cents per minute, of talk time. Like I'm paying these setters and all these people like percentages and a base, which can get very expensive. So it was just an efficiency play, and it just made more sense because the cool thing about AI, I guess, is like cool and kind of scary at the same time, is like it works 24/7, does what you tell it to do, doesn't have sick days, no vacations or paid leave, none of that. Like it operates when you need it to, and it's reliable. And that's the biggest things. That's the biggest, I guess, fault, I guess, us as humans have, which is reliability a lot of the time, especially when you're hiring. And it just allowed me to kind of take that off my plate and higher margins as well, and better conversions. So kind of all the above. Yeah.
That's amazing. So it sounds like you're blending in somewhat of a sales service and on top of the marketing service you're providing.
Correct. Yes,
Got it. Okay, so
exactly.
let's get going.
Let's jump into it. So, firstly, who am I? Obviously, you guys heard a little bit of background, but started my first business at 16, SMMA, social media marketing agency. Worked with real estate agents at the beginning, and overall, worked with over 200 clients. Built a YouTube channel today of around 40,000 subscribers. I guess people know me because I've made over $1 million at 19, and I've documented the entire journey publicly. Obviously, for compliance reasons, like that does not mean you guys can make that just by watching videos. Like it took me a lot of work, a lot of time. You guys can look on my channel. It was day in, day out. Like I've really done nothing else except business for the past few years. But it's pretty crazy what you can do when you really, really put your mind to things. And I'll kind of talk about the things I did differently today that I feel like a lot of people struggle with, that got me to where I'm at, that maybe others just, maybe lacked. So like I said, it was not always this way. I hit a complete rock bottom at age 15, 16, addicted to video games, no friends, very unhealthy, and I hated school. So that was me in the bottom right. That was my first ever video I posted. That was just recapping my first 6 months. Like you could see, I mean, I've aged, but I look pretty visibly different there than today. And people always people comment on this video today and they're like, I don't even recognize you, and it's one of those, it's a good thing for me today to look back at. Cause like it doesn't matter where you start, like you can really completely change things in a matter of months and years. And it doesn't take decades sometimes as people maybe claim. And started to make a change. So I realized, I was down a dark path and decided to buy an SMA course, like I mentioned, and start my agency at 16. Started documenting on YouTube, and I started to sign clients pretty consistently with real estate agents. So maybe we can talk about this a little bit today, Paulson. But I didn't have money when I started out to like go run my own ads, and I didn't have a bunch of money like startup capital wise. Like I had enough money for Go HighLevel and like my domain, my email. So I had to get scrappy with how I was to close clients. So I did everything from cold calling to cold emailing to anything possible to get clients. And that kind of got me to my first, I'd say like 5 to 10 clients. I was maybe making like 2, 3, 4K a month or so. And then I turned on paid ads, which is what I do today. And I'll probably talk about, which is where you run ads for your own agency and your own business to acquire clients. So essentially what I'm doing for my clients, I do for myself, which is kind of perfect. And that's what allowed me to really break through 5K, 10K, and 20K a month. By the time I was 17 years old, I had some press releases, kind of, digital journal articles come out at the time. That was September 2023. So few years ago. And I actually figured out about paid ads and that whole thing through Joel Kaplan. So I know, agency OG. So
Oh yeah.
And then AI voice started changing the game. So around this time when I was kind of scaled up with my current offer, I was only offering the social media lead gen ads. Like I said, which is great. But the problem is you now there's a quote by, I want to say it's Jeff Bezos, which is like a goal of a service-based business, kind of like similar to Amazon, is you want to absorb as many customer problems or like things that could go wrong as possible. And you want to take care of it. And what I started to realize was there was a huge problem with me just delivering these leads, because leads are, number one, probably if they don't call them fast, like if my client isn't on top of them, they're not going to even remember they opted into an ad, and they're going to complain about quality. They might not even call these leads. There's just too many rooms to fail in my service. But the AI voice allowed it so leads could get called up automatically within 5 minutes. And I think there's a Hermosi stat he talks about. It's like you're 500% more likely to convert a lead if you call them within 5 minutes rather than like a few hours later. And I saw this to be extremely true. Solved a bigger gap for my clients, meaning I could charge more money. Okay. This means I was charging like 1, 2K a month at the time for my service, to all the way to like $10,000 upfront offers, which again, I'll talk about today because it probably sounds crazy. A lot of people on YouTube talk about charging super low amounts. I mentioned like AI automation where you charge a couple $100s for your service. I'm the complete opposite. I charge very high amounts to a very select group of people because I know my service is worth it. And when you can do that, you can work with way better people, and you don't have to work with the masses and work with a bunch of clients that probably don't actually respect you. So that was kind of the whole change and transition for me. And today I run one of the biggest AI agencies for stem cell clinics, is specifically the industry I work within, and also been kind of dabbling into the peptide clinic industry as well. It's very, very hot. I have a team of over 10 people. I built probably the best free community of people also building AI agencies that use HighLevel. And I, of course, still document me building the entire business on my YouTube channel, which I think is unique, because what you see on my channel compared to a lot of other people, I think, in the space is I can talk all day about the new tools, the new things that come out, but a lot of my content is actually focused around what I currently do today in my agency. So I'll pull up, live sales call reviews of us closing like $10,000, $15,000 deals. Like I watch my closer close someone, because I'm at the stage where I have a team that does that. So I try to like show as much as what I can, as possible, from what I'm doing today. And I think people really like that, because it's like, you can kind of see in the weeds and you can learn from it. And then you can kind of bring it to your business and implement what I do well into your business. And again, it's kind of all just like, it's just documentation. It's like, it's free. It's YouTube. So that's kind of the whole rundown on me. And Paulson, if you want, we can head into the next one, which is, how would I build an AI agency from scratch right now, today, the right way? All right. And this is kind of a question, like I was mentioning earlier, where I think a lot of people, they get in business and they go 2, 3, 4 years and they wonder where all the time passed, because maybe, a lot of people, there are people who see way bigger numbers than me, but a lot of people, majority, they don't see much happen. And there's factors why that is, but I'll kind of talk about the key things that have helped me. So let me talk about the first mistakes beginners make, which for me, this is going to, again, maybe sound controversial, but I think it's extremely true, which is, number one, worrying about your website before you have clients. Okay. Paulson, if you disagree with me here, jump in because I'm willing to debate this. But like a lot of people, and including myself when I was starting, you waste a ton of time on things that just sound cool, but they don't actually push the business forward. And building a website sounds like, oh, it's a must-do thing you need to have when starting a business. But reality,
Yeah.
who's even looking at your website? You're not apple.com. You have no traffic going there. So like you can spend the time on that, but like that's not
Yeah.
going to make you probably more money, you know?
Yeah.
And
In
then
my high
yeah,
level lens, I think of it as worrying so much about the snapshot before you go do sales. Like, n-
there you go.
you know, it's like don't bog, don't just get drowned in all the technology and forget to do sales. That's the first mistake.
100%, 100%. And the next thing is worrying about client fulfillment before you have any clients. All right. So this is something that I think everyone struggles with, and it's human nature too. Like when you're offering a service, if I'm going to go to someone and say, I'm going to build you a website or I'm going to build you XYZ thing, you want to make sure you have good fulfillment. But the problem with that is you don't know if you have good fulfillment until you have many clients, anyways. It's a data thing, right? Like imagine if Amazon only delivered 2 packages and they were both good. Let's say they both happened, they were both win as planned. Does that mean they have good fulfillment? Well, based on the data, technically yes, but they only have 2 case studies. It's not enough to tell them if they have a good fulfillment process or not, because if they have the third one and it goes bad, 33% of their fulfillment, let's say, failed. It's not good. So you see how that like the numbers
Yeah,
really kind of do the math. So you really want to focus on getting clients before you worry about fulfillment. Because as you get more clients, it's going to probably stress you out to make sure you do fulfill better. And you're going to put more time and energy into making sure you have a good process. Number two, it's just more data. Okay. It's all a data game at the end of the day. Like running an agency, it's a very, I like to say, boring business model. It's not sexy or cool, but it's just the fundamentals that scale. And when you have more clients, you get to figure out what's the issue because you'll see recurring problems. Um, so yeah, that's that. And then third thing is trying to outsource the work before you fully understand it yourself. There's certain positions like I would always get caught up myself like, well, how does Microsoft, like or Amazon, how are they hiring all these people that are technically better than them at the roles that they're doing like if they aren't as good at it themselves. But the thing is we're not Microsoft and Amazon, or at least most of us probably aren't, right? Like trying to outsource sales before you've ever closed a sales call is probably going to be pretty hard because like if you've never closed someone, how are you going to train them up? It's kind of like me training someone up on being a developer and coding, but I've never coded once in my life. It can be hard, and of course there's certain roles where you kind of have to take a leap and you have to trust the person's talent and skill. But when I think around sales, like you should have the fundamentals of closing a few deals. So you have some sales calls to show the person and be like, hey, this is what's worked for us before. This is what's worked for me on my calls. I want you to just do better than me, of course, but here's what's worked for me. And you train them up. I don't know if you agree with me on that, Paulson, but I feel like you should always kind of
absolutely.
learn it yourself.
Absolutely. It's hard to build SOPs around something you yourself as the founder hasn't done before. And it's easier if you have done it to train somebody because you have a certain standard you're trying to hit, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
even if you figured it out, you may not have a standard that you're clearly having a goal around.
100%. 100%. Yeah. How are you going to SOP something and build a whole procedure around it if you've never done it? It's impossible. I guess Claude could maybe do it, but I don't know how good it'll be. It's just for your situation. So, the fourth one, I'm going to preface, not a legal advisor, but focusing on being what I call an LLC warrior before you make a penny. Okay. And what I mean by this, and this can change depending on your country or, wherever you're situated, but a lot of people, they focus on like all the legalities of like, oh, do I have to be all official before I do this? And like, I'd say the rule of thumb is yes, be official, do all that. But I see so many people actually quit because they're in this stage of trying to make themselves official before they even do one cold call or before they send one DM. It's like this stuff, at least in the US, like you're not going to owe taxes unless you've made money. So if you've made $0, like focus on the thing that's going to make you money. And once you make money, the first deal or whatever, make sure you're all official. Make sure you're doing what you need to do. But I think a lot of people get caught up on that as just what I've seen, like from a beginner mistake standpoint, before they make any money. And it's a simple mistake or it's simple, thing that I think people get caught up on. And I was there at one point too. So I don't
Yeah.
know. Again, Paulson, I don't know if you agree with that, but like I see a lot of people get caught up on that type of stuff, which is,
Yeah.
fine, but ideally it's not the revenue driving task, I would say.
Yeah. I think part of it is like, there's like, what's the right way to say this? There's usually some kind of trauma of some kind from rejection. And a lot of times people don't want to jump into the sales side and get rejected, so they work on internally in the business so much so they
That's
don't have to
exactly what it
face
is.
the fact of rejection, right?
Of the
Or face
problem.
the fact of like a challenge, whether it's fulfillment related, sales related, quality related. We all naturally want to provide something really good qualitative so you can stand behind it. But in reality, it takes several reiterations to get to that quality level, but yeah, keep going.
Yep, exactly. And then second to last is being too worried about testimonials before getting clients. This is, I'm sure, Paulson, you've heard this a bunch. I know you're in the agency space, but everyone, when they start out, the only way to get testimonials is by closing clients. And worrying about having testimonials is not going to fix that. Like, the fix is getting clients. And I know that's a part of getting clients, but you just sometimes have to you can be upfront. Like, I was super honest with people when I started, because I was charging like $200, $300, $400 for like a 3-week trial period when I first started out, just doing ads, just because I didn't have the confidence to charge more. And I just told them, I was super straight up. I'm like, look, this is my first business. I'm 16 years old. I'm trying to make this stuff work. I'll do it for a super cheap price just to, help you out. And all I ask of you at the end of the 3 weeks is, if I do a good job, you just make me a quick video testimonial. And I stacked so many of those just through like being honest. Like, I think that's just, doing that is so much better than trying to fake your way around things and doing all that when it comes to testimonials. So I think that's important. And then the last thing I put on here is quitting too early. Like, this is super beginner stuff, guys. I probably shouldn't have to go over this, but there's a saying I say to my team all the time, which is, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think so many people, when they get into online business, they think it's this get rich quick shit. And it's not. It's not. Like, just to be honest, I can tell you guys, after thinking that was, I had a journal, Paulson, that I had when I started. I actually saw it the other day. I literally thought by month 4 I was going to be a millionaire. I'm not even joking. Like, the things that you hear on YouTube, like all these kids making all this money, like, it's so much of it is just, it's not you don't see the full picture. And they try to paint a light so then they can sell you a dream, which, marketing, whatever. But the reality is, this stuff takes time. And all of my friends who are uber successful that have been in the space, they've been in the space for years. This is not a months thing, while there are
Yeah,
people that are
overnight
successful in
success.
months, it's, yeah.
Yeah, overnight success after like 10 years of reiterating all kinds of things, right? Like
Exactly.
you have to step in and become a new version of an entrepreneur every single time you hit a milestone, right? Like the
Exactly.
10K a month person is different than a $100,000 a month person. You can't
Correct.
even recognize them if you compare them side by side, and they both have the same names, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Super true. So those are kind of the beginner mistakes I see, and I think it's important to kind of cover them before we get into. And then, or like, again, this kind of goes into it, which is, they just focus on a business model that sounds cool, but in reality, it really doesn't do anything. There's business models out there you guys probably see, like the success rate is probably lower and higher in certain ones, but like, I really think that a lot of AI trends on YouTube, a lot of people are super wanting to make apps today. And that's cool. It sounds super cool. But look at the stats on like how many people are really going to make money with apps, and like, just rather than a basic service boring business like an agency. Like, the success rate, I can tell you, is so much higher with an agency, just because building apps, it's a little bit commoditized, right? Like, anyone can open up Claude Code and now make an app in 15 minutes. And it just means the idea is kind of the differentiator, but everyone has cool ideas. You know what I mean? So it's just, be wary of that, because I think a lot of people get stuck in that trap. And I tried a bunch of different business models when I started, and by far, I think it's just, you want to look. This is kind of the last point I have on this one. When you look at a business model, look at the skills you're getting on it. And the reason I'm so big on agency is because you get sales, you get client fulfillment, you get leadership, team building, you get like offer building, everything you kind of get within this model. I don't know if you agree with me, Paul, but like
Yeah,
agency, you really do get like kind of all the skills. When drop shipping, you might just get marketing. I don't think
yeah,
you're on sales calls for drop shipping. So it's like, you kind of get it all in one.
yeah. I remember talking to Joel, like, 2014, 2015. We used to joke about it, where I think agency build out is like the fastest personal development course anybody can sign up for.
I agree. I agree. It's a long one, but it's worth it, in the long run. So that being said, the goal is simple: build an AI offer that businesses and business owners will pay on a recurring basis for, which is kind of what I've done, which is what I've talked about. So this is recurring basis from, you could be starting out, it could be as low as $1,000, $2,000 a month, or you could be charged a big upfront. amounts for, let's say, like 90-day periods, kind of similar to what I do. So the pricing I usually charge anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 for a 90-day service. And it's because I know it's worth it for the people I work with. They get a return on it. And yeah, it's one of those services where I bridge the whole gap, kind of like I talked about. I don't just give them a brick, which I'll kind of go more in depth into. So here's the roadmap of what I'm going to cover. And it's going to be in kind of 7 different stages, which number 1 is going to be understanding what is an AI agency. So super simple. What do I do today? Number 2, picking your niche, understanding what industry of clients you want to be working with. Number 3, crafting your offer and your pricing. So really going through, how do you make an offer that businesses find appealing, and how do you price that accordingly depending on what stage you're at in your business journey. Number 4, using HighLevel to build backend systems. So like I mentioned earlier, I've been using HighLevel since I was 16, and it's held everything from client accounts, every single client I've onboarded, to my own accounts, from my funnels to my websites, automations. It holds absolutely everything. And if you wanted to go use other tools, it probably costs you, I know there's a comparison online somewhere, but it's probably going to cost you like 3, 4, 5 grand a month, rather than just a much smaller amount that you would just pay for an all-in-one tool. So obviously HighLevel's been a big one. That's kind of big step 4, setting that up. Step 5 is the 3 methods out there that you can use to close clients, depending on your kind of like stage that with how much money you have, because that's really what is going to dictate what's the best route for you when it comes to closing clients. Number 6, closing clients live on sales calls. So actually how to conduct these sales calls. And then number 7, how to fulfill for them using the HighLevel voice AI feature. And then of course, along with fulfillment, running ads for them as well, and how to do that. So we'll kind of go through as much of this as possible, Paulson, for as much time we had today.
Yep.
And we'll kind of jump into step 1. So number 1 is understand what is an AI agency. So the simple way I like to break this down, and if you guys have anyone's watching this, watch my YouTube videos, you've seen this graph before. I've been showing this one for probably like a year now. But the gap of, I kind of just like frame this as, let's look at the gap of any service-based business out there. And it goes from number 1, the first problem they have is getting leads. Number 2, they need to get appointments. And then number 3, they need to close deals. That's kind of like, let's say, the timeline, right? So we want to see is, how can we make one big solution that can solve all 3 of these problems? Okay. So when it comes to getting leads, is we can run AI ads on Facebook and Instagram, lead gen type ads. AI can make a lot of these ads, from image ads to video ads, and you set up their ads, whatever budget they have per day, you start running those. And then once you get leads that actually opt in through these ads, you set up an AI voice caller. Okay. And you can do this inside of HighLevel now, to where it can call up every single new person and book them into your client's calendar. And the cool part about this now is everything's in HighLevel. So you don't have to use many third-party platforms or other tools. You can actually just keep it all in one. So within the workflows and within all the triggers, you can just, it can be like book appointment or AI voice. It's all in there. So it makes it super, like, if you're non-technical, I wouldn't say I'm the most technical person. It's easy for me to understand. It takes 10, 15, 20 minutes to actually understand. And then the third thing is closing deals. So the big thing I've noticed, and Paulson, I know you're in the agency game, so you probably noticed this too. I've realized a lot of local businesses that have been around for a long time, they actually have a horrible sales process. So I like to say, running an agency, people think it's 100% service-based. I like to say it's 60% service-based, 40% consulting, because it doesn't matter how well you do when it comes to getting them good qualified leads. If they suck at sales and they can't bring the baton to the finish line, nothing's going to convert. So you have to make sure their end is actually like they're upkeeping the same quality that you're pushing through the funnel, and they're actually going to convert these people, because at the end of the day, it's on them. Like, you can get them as many appointments as you want. If they no-show the appointments, they mean nothing. So you have to make sure they're doing a good job on their part as well. And then all that leads to money. So we solve these 3 big problems here.
And the 40% of consulting, I mean, with my own agencies, I felt like they're educational based, right? You have to educate the customer of all things marketing, all things sales, all things processes of like how to actually convert leads. So to me, the consulting pocket is typically like you're training them of how to manage their own business often.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah, it's big. Now, number 2 is picking your niche. Okay, so this is the industry of clients to work with. The first important things I like to say is, when you pick this industry, make sure you stick with it for 3 to 6 months. All right. I know the grass seems greener on the other side. When you go to roofing, you want to go to solar. When you go to real estate, you want to go to HVAC. I'm telling you right now, stick in it with a long period of time, because every time you switch industries, it's kind of like you're restarting your business. And if you start restarting your business every like 1 to 2 months, like, just expect to get nowhere. I don't see many people succeed with that kind of route. So stick in with it long period of time. And you kind of want to look at, number 1, make sure the TAM, or total addressable market, is big enough. Okay. So I like to say have a minimum of about 20,000 businesses within the country you're going after, and pick 1 to 2 countries. I only work with US clients. I know a lot of people that just work with US and Canada. I know with people that work in the Spanish market, or just clients in the UK. Whatever's familiar, whatever's good with you, whatever makes sense after you pick your industry and it all kind of makes sense. Just pick 1 to 2. I'd say when you go too broad, it can be an issue with time zones. And then the 3 kind of buckets I have below are like the best, I'd say, industries I see out there at the moment. There's a lot I'm obviously not including on here, but these are just kind of like the big ones. There's home service, professional services, and then high ticket online businesses. Now, I like to say high ticket online businesses because I know a lot of agency owners that work with marketing agencies, consulting companies, info products, coaches, consultants, all that. That's all great, but I feel like that industry is like, if you haven't ran a high ticket online business before, if you're not run an online business before, probably don't go for them. Like, I just think it's one of those things, like, it's an if you know thing. Like, Paulson, I know, like the skepticism from like people in that
Yeah,
market, how many times they've been
yeah,
burned is like off the charts. Like, you're probably
yeah,
better off going to some 50-year-old local business owner.
yeah. Carson, I do have to ask you. So, how did you
Yeah.
land on healthcare from what you're suggesting here? Was that like a default industry that you already had a lot of connections in or something? And
I had connections in there, correct. And also, it's one of those, well, it's less low key now that I talk about it publicly because I kind of have to on my channel. But it's one of those industries where it's super niche, right? Like there's weight loss clinics, there's a bunch of different TRT clinics, there's stem cell clinics, peptide clinics, there's a bunch of different type like medical clinics. I had connections to people who were very big agency owners in the medical space, and also stem cell clinics. I knew nobody in there, so it was like one of those perfect opportunities that jumped in and just ended out, crushing it. Really, yeah.
got it.
Yeah. So, um, but it's also very hard to sell to, I think, if you're a beginner, because like these people are, it's very high ticket. I mentioned my price point. It's like 10 to 25K. If you're a beginner,
Sure.
I remember when I was a beginner, I couldn't even charge $300.
Right.
So it's also very expensive to acquire calls in the industry, which I'll talk about when we talk about how to get clients on sales calls on your calendar. I pay a lot of money per call just because it's a very small industry and kind of niche, but
Got it.
regardless. Yeah. Good question. But around home service, professional services, there's roofer, HVAC, pool builders, solar, landscape, bookkeepers, real estate agents. The list goes on. You guys just pick one. Ideally, pick something you have a personal relationship with. Okay. So the best way I look at this is if your dad is a roofer and when you grew up, you just always heard kind of like the talk with your dad, maybe talking about his job or whatever, you can maybe relate and understand the industry a little bit more than someone like me, for example, where I have no connections to roofers. So do something you have a personal relationship with. If you're going to get a law degree, law firms, maybe that's a good industry to go after just because you can speak their lingo. That's like 50% of it. When I went after real estate agents, when I was starting out, I knew a few real estate agents local to me. I had meetings with them in person. I said, hey, look, this is what I'm trying to offer. What are the big recommendations or piece of advice you can give me pitching people just like you? And I got as much information and data as I could just through kind of like people I knew, just real estate agents local to me. And that allowed me to really understand my market more and use certain terms that I wouldn't have known otherwise. Speaking the lingo of your industry, I'm telling you, is a big thing on sales calls because every industry has their own kind of like talk, I
Right.
guess you could say,
Right.
on framing. So yeah, that's really around picking your industry. Any questions, Paulson, you have here, or good
I
to
think
go?
we're good. I think also one thing I would mention is if you're in the beginning stages, you may have to go through a couple of versions of an industry, right? You may not you it's not like it's not set in stone where you're marrying an industry that you start off with. Like you can test out, a cosmetic dentist. Then you might realize that's not like you don't enjoy it. You may do chiropractors. You may do something different. But eventually it'll catch up to you on the fulfillment where you don't want to
Correct.
have too many different variations. You want to have similar fulfillment. So as you grow, you have to quickly concrete that decision in this business model.
That's correct. And to, I guess, explain a little bit, when I say stick with one industry for a long period of time, when I say that, to be clear, I mean, I say that because the fulfillment is going to be the biggest bottleneck at a certain point. And if you have clients in roofers, bookkeepers, real estate agents, law firms, if you have many clients in all these different industries, you're doing different fulfillment for all industries. Rather than if you just pick one, like let's say real estate agents, you can have a templated snapshot that you use for all of your clients in HighLevel that's just been proven to work for your other clients that you just kind of copy. Like a lot of like there's saying it's so important. It's probably one of the best sayings I've heard in business. It's so simple, but people don't catch on to it. It's just repeat successful actions. Okay. Like if something works well for you once or something works well for a client once, try to run it back again. Because even with the algorithms on how they work on social media, if something works once, it's generally going to work again. It's the same thing here. And if you are constantly in all these different industries, it becomes super hard to get a good fulfillment process because you're just constantly jumping ship, here. And it's really about scalability as well. It's just way harder with a lot of industries. So
Yep.
I think you kind of nailed it, Paulson. All right. Next thing, third is crafting your offer and pricing. So the AI agency model, there's kind of three different pricing that I see. There's retainers, there's performance, and then there's PIF or pay in full, right? So retainers being kind of monthly fees. Okay. This is like the $1,000-$2,000 a month clients that you may have. There's performance, which is like pay per appointment or pay per deal, pay per job. You get a percentage of that or you get a flat fee per that. I see a bunch of agencies that do that, do really well. And then there's PIF. Okay. There's like 5K up front, which just is pay in full. So that just means like, let's say you have a 90-day long service agreement. Instead of charging $2,000 a month, you just charge $5,000 for the 90 days and you give them like a 1K discount, like getting the full amount up front. So pretty simple there. That's kind of the three different pricing models you can go through. And then around offer, kind of the way I look at the offer is like super standard is you can do like a 3-month long agreement where you have, let's say it's $5,000 up front, covers the 3 months. You do paid ads plus the AI caller build out. And then clients, of course, always pay for ad spend. So I know this question comes up a ton, which is like, well, Carson, do I have to cover my clients' daily ad spend on Facebook? Or Carson, do I have to cover their AI caller fees or whatever? You're a service provider. You're not a bank. Okay. Like you're not going to go cover their ad spend. You know what I mean? Like you're not in that realm. So when it comes to your offer, think of it simple. And again, you can start smaller. So like if that scares you, if the $5,000 upfront model scares you and the 3 months seems way too long, I started with 3-week long service agreements where I was just like, look, I explained this earlier, but I was like, look, my service is for 3 weeks. Okay. It's $300. All I ask you at the end of the 3 weeks, if you like my service, we can continue. Great. If not, all I ask is you give me a quick video testimonial explaining what I did for you. Super simple. Okay. That's how you can get the reps in fast. You can get some sales calls in through the door and it's low resistance because you get money up front. You get experience, which is actually way more important than the money at the start. And you can get some testimonials in the process too.
Makes sense.
So that's kind of how I go about it. But any questions you have around offer and pricing?
Nope,
Awesome.
we're good. We're good.
Cool. Easy. All right. Number 4, which is using HighLevel to build backend systems. So I can get super in depth here. I probably will keep it kind of an overview just because there's so many parts to HighLevel that are key for my business. But think of everything from the websites and funnels that I have to my texting and emailing automations, my pipelines, sales organization. So we can track certain people that are in maybe they no-showed our call, or people that are follow-ups, or people that have closed. Like I just have a quick pipeline that I can view all that in. Workflow automations. So think of appointment reminders, right? So someone books a call with you, they get reminders 1 day before, 10 hours before, 1 hour before, and 10 minutes before. You can quickly set that up under 5 minutes. I think you can actually tell HighLevel's AI inside the kind of automation workflow feature to build it for you. You don't even have to like manually do it. You just tell and prompt it to do so, kind of like how you do with ChatGPT. And that will, send all follow-ups and reminder automations. And then the AI voice setup, of course, is crucial as well. Now, I used to use third-party AI voice setups, but actually, fun enough, a lot of them have actually partnered now with HighLevel. So it's all native inside their one platform, and it saves me a bunch of money in developer costs because it was a lot more intensive back then. But now it's all in one place, which is great.
Times have changed, huh?
Yeah. HighLevel's, they're probably like, I've seen a lot of AI tools, but HighLevel's moving a lot faster than I actually thought they would. And they've surpassed my expectations like crazy because now,
Awesome.
again, for our clients, it's so much easier. It like made our life a lot easier, genuinely. It saved me a
Awesome.
lot of money. So yeah.
Awesome. So your primary offer is voice AI and a lot of the high level stuff, but you blend that into advertising and
Correct.
SEO and website. So it's like a SaaS model where it's software with the service, or kind of like a hybrid agency model with software.
Yeah. I mean, HighLevel's behind everything. Like if we're including HighLevel as our software for clients, which it is, like it's 1,000,000%, a part of our service. It's like we couldn't run, like I wouldn't have an agency, if it wasn't for it.
Got it.
So that's kind of how we have all of our backend systems. I don't know how in depth we want to get here, Paulson, if we want to head into step 5 or actually.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going so we finish our thought here.
Yeah. So number 5 is the 3 methods to close clients. So obviously the big 3 methods that I see today, and there's more if you really count like referrals or affiliates, there's a few more, but the big 3 that you're probably going to scale with is method 1 is paid ads. So this is what I do today. This is what every big agency owner I know today does. And it's just because it's the most scalable, where you give Facebook money every single day for your own business, calling out whatever industry you're going after with your offer and saying, real estate agents, if you want a new, AI system in your business that's going to get you 10 listing appointments in the next 90 days, click the link below, learn more, whatever CTA you have. And then you get sales calls literally while you sleep, assuming you set it up correctly. And you just funnel people to a HighLevel site, a funnel that you set up inside of HighLevel, and you just convert them from there onto your calendar, set up a pre-call page, etc. Right? That's kind of like the setup there. And then method 2 is outreach. So this is very notorious for people who are starting out that might not have much startup capital, because of course paid ads costs money to start. Outreach is the complete opposite, where you're trading your time for money. You're not really trading money for time, if that makes sense.
Right.
Where outreach is where you're on Instagram, LinkedIn, cold calling, cold emailing, doing whatever you can kind of in the trenches to get people on sales calls. And looking back, honestly, this is how I got to those first 5-10 clients. Like I was 3-4K a month with that. Looking back, I would have literally continued to work my daily job that I was working at a golf course when I was 16, that I was making minimum wage. I would have just funneled that money to paid ads. I didn't have the experience or the knowledge at the time, like how to run paid ads successfully. Like with my brain now, I would definitely go back and do paid ads, but outreach was perfect for me at the time because it costed kind of no money and I could just use HighLevel and kind of organize everything. And then method 3 is organic content. So this is something nobody actually talks about, but if you make content on Instagram or on YouTube, it's a free way to get clients because you can make a message to a certain group of people. It doesn't cost you money to upload on YouTube, okay, or on Instagram Reels. You can make content that is targeted to roofers or to med spa owners around your offer and around how AI is changing the industry. I've seen so many people, and even my own agency today, we have a YouTube channel. We have a few posts on there on our Instagram and our YouTube. And we've literally closed $10,000 clients from videos that get like a few hundred views. And it sounds crazy, but it doesn't matter how many views you get. Like people think views matter as their number one metric, but it's actually the opposite. It's quality. And if you have 100 of the right people watching your video and you have a good video that with a solid call to action in there, if you convert 2% of those viewers, that's 2 clients. And if the average order value is, let's say $5,000, that's 10 grand, like hypothetical world. So, yeah.
So how do prospects find your video or content if they're, like if they're not in your world yet?
Yeah. So with content, the caveat here is it's a snowball. Okay. So on YouTube, people look at me now, maybe, and I don't have the biggest channel by any means, but I have like 40,000 subscribers. I had 2,000 subscribers a year ago, and that was after 2 years of posting. So, and that was like every month. I've never skipped a month of posting. So it takes a lot of time to get off the ground, but the key with hitting the right people and not needing too many views is the messaging inside the title and the thumbnail and the video itself. So for example, I'm not going to go make a video that says how to use AI in your business today that runs 24/7. I'm going to say how to use AI in a real estate agent business that's changing the game in 2026 or something along those lines. You have to call out who you're talking to. You have to be specific.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's that. And then of course, my recommendation is if you have $0, go through outreach and also do organic content. And then if you have money, maybe a few $1,000s that you're willing to put on the line and kind of invest essentially. And it's a gamble, could go well or could not. It's like educated gambling, I like to say, with paid ads. If you have the right setup and you have the right systems and you kind of follow the right guidance, you can really do well with it. And it's obviously what I do today. So yeah, that's kind of the main methods to close clients. And then number 6 is how to actually close clients on sales calls. So on the left, you can see kind of like an example chart of literally what I show on sales calls. So the reason I wanted to show this here is because that chart you see on the left of pillar 1, pillar 2, pillar 3 is the exact same thing that I'm closing clients today for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Okay. It looks simple, but it literally breaks down exactly what I've told you guys, which is pillar 1, you're going to do lead gen. Okay. You can make AI ads. Pillar 2, you're going to do appointment setting, meaning you're going to set up an AI calling appointment setter. And pillar 3, you're going to help them with their sales process. All right. That's the exact thing on the right. You can see that, I'm sure, Paulson, from a YouTube video where I viewed a sales call that closed for 15 grand. and I have a
Wow.
bunch of those on my channel. So obviously there's a lot of parts to sales calls. Like I could sit here and talk to you guys for an hour around how to conduct correct sales calls, but I'd say about 70% of the call and the close is going to come from the discovery. So when you open up the call, assuming you're doing a one call close, it's all about the questions you ask them. Okay. If you don't ask good questions, you don't find pain points, you're going to get into your presentation having no ammo to work with. I like to say, like, when you're in the discovery and asking them questions about their business and seeing kind of where you can, fill in the gaps and the holes with your solution and your service, you're getting ammo. Okay. And if you don't get enough ammo, by the time the presentation comes and you really kind of go through your pitch, you're not going to have enough ammo to get them, but yeah, that's really how to close on sales calls. Like, there's a bunch of resources, but keep it simple, and honestly, I don't even think
Yeah.
slide decks are needed for this stuff today. Like, you can just
Yeah.
show little charts.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Cool. And then lastly, which is how to fulfill for clients using HighLevel voice. So the way I look at this is the first 24 hours when you close the client, you're going to send them to an onboarding funnel, which is just a list of kind of videos and steps that you walk your client through. So like the expectations, filling out an intake form, everything they need to know when they should go through, completely automatically connecting Facebook, getting meta access so you can actually manage their ad account. All of that you can do automatically with just setting up an onboarding funnel inside of HighLevel. And I talk about that a ton. And then onboarding a kickoff call. So you take this first call within the first 48 hours. Then after that call, you have everything you need to kind of build and prepare everything for launch. So setting up the ads, setting up the AI caller. Say that takes 7 to 14 days on kind of like max. And then you have a launch call, which kind of showing them everything you built, getting things ready and prepared, making sure it all works. You launch everything and you have bi-weekly check-in calls from day 14 to day 90. If you had like a 90-day, 3-month long service agreement, for example. And then of course, at the bottom, I kind of just showed the voice AI feature. Inside of HighLevel, you can just create from scratch, or there's a bunch of templates out there. So maybe even depending on the use case you're using it for, that you're setting up for a client or the industry, there's a good chance it's actually already pre-made and you could just use that and you just tweak it a little bit. So yeah, that's really the whole things around HighLevel voice and fulfillment. Of course, I distilled things very fast here, but if the ads are a big thing on here as well, because you have to get leads and generate leads for your client using AI ads that you generate. There's a couple platforms I use out there. Arc Ads is great for video ads, and there's a platform called Ideogram for images. Ideogram is actually gotten really good recently, and Arc Ads just makes a bunch of video AI UGC actor ads, which are great as well. And the last thing is kind of what I want to talk about, which is just why this is important now. And the things I'll say is business owners want more customers, and no AI can help. Okay, every day it's like indoctrination on the news. AI has done this, AI has done that, and a lot of business owners, and this is no offense to people who are much older, but they're a little bit behind on the tech. A lot of the older business owners, like everyone, like kids like me, I guess you could say, we always grew up with phones. It's like we know where it's like our world, and a lot of these older business owners are having to adopt this stuff, and it's just not normal to them. And so it means they're maybe a couple years or a couple months behind than maybe, let's say, someone like me is, and I can help them with this and actually use it to get them more customers, and they're willing to pay big bucks for it because they know AI is kind of the next big thing. And AI is replacing repetitive work, like I talked about. Okay, voice receptionists, front desk workers. I believe it's going to be one of the first industries that AI kind of completely cuts. Like, you can make inbound voice agents inside of HighLevel, and it works phenomenally well. I know a lot of agencies actually that only offer that to businesses that are front desks, and they crush it. And you can kind of be that middleman who sets up all the AI systems for business owners. And like I said, HighLevel makes it super easy because everything you need is in one simple platform. You don't have to go spend $3,000 a month, $10,000 a month for all these different tools to make one fulfillment process. You can do it all in one. And obviously it's been huge, as I've talked about here, for my business, my agency today. So I guess that's kind of the rundown.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a great session to kind of just reiterate and just help people understand the business model around the AI tools, right? So we didn't go into the app and build out a bunch of stuff and get really technical, but we wanted to share like the big opportunity of what's happening right now across the digital marketing landscape. So Carson, just real quick, the pricing that you like is that you like a 90-day run or a 6-month run with a large sum up front, and there's like a fulfillment that's kind of just kind of what's the word? Just is like a recurring monthly for that term or something like that. Like
Correct.
what is
Yeah.
your favorite like type of contract?
So look, from an agency perspective, there's retainers and monthly fees can be good. The problem with it is you have to set really good expectations, because let's say 1 month goes by, let's say they're spending $2,000 a month for 6 months. Let's say, for example, by month 2, if you set bad expectations, meaning you told them they'd get all these results by month 2, and you
Mhm.
didn't explain to them that there's a ramp up period, by that second payment, they're not going to want to pay that. They're going to be like, where are my results? You told me I was going to get results, rather than the upfront model where it's like they put all their trust in you and you just set good expectations, and then there's no problem with billing and stuff. Because I mean, it's so common today for people not to pay you on time, so that's like very common. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Any final thoughts you want to share? I know we're about coming up on the hour here. For those of you that are watching, feel free to put your questions down, or if you just simply loved the session and just kind of this, kind of a review of the business model, type in the word AI or the lettering. I guess it's two letters, AI. So tell us that you are engaged and just, kind of just give us an idea of where you are. So Carson, what's next for you guys when it comes to this AI stuff? Like, what does the rest of 2026 look like for you?
Yeah. So it's actually just so right now, a lot of my team is actually based in Austin, Texas. So we are potentially by summer's really hot in Austin. So I'm from Seattle, so I'm here right now, and
Yeah.
it's great here in the summer. It's not too hot. But by the time summer's over, potentially getting an in-person office for the whole agency team, just because we're all there and it's kind of convenient. And really, for me, my goal is continuing to grow YouTube as usual and kind of continue to show people more about this model, because like by no means am I coming here, Paulson, telling everyone there's this brand new model that's working. Like this stuff has been around, to say the
Yeah.
least. It's just getting better, right? And there's like, I guess you could coin it AI agency is what I've coined it. But it's the same social media marketing agency service that's been around, but there's just AI now that makes parts more efficient. And that's where I see a lot of the money is. Um, but like my last words is really just like continuing to be relentless and continue to go push it forward, and help as many people as possible. Because like again, like I'm by no means, I was never the smartest kid in school. I never had good grades. Like I was the opposite of all that, and it's like it's pretty crazy when you just put your focus to something for a long enough period of time, and you just, I guess, have goodwill with people and help them in the process too, like what can come from it. And I think a lot of people probably benefit just because probably a lot of people watching this right now are a lot smarter than me. They can go make something crazy happen. So it's just about giving it the time. Like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think a lot of people think it's super fast money, but it's not.
I love it, Carson. Well, thank you for taking some time and spending some, valuable, lessons here and just sharing that with us. And look, like this agency model is not easy. It's hard. It's very difficult. But once you kind of build momentum, you kind of crack the code on offers to the right ICPs in the right industry with the right pricing and the right timing. Um, it's got its opportunities. It's got its, rewards, and none of us are married to any offers either. Like all these AI tools, we can just wash it out of the window in like 3 months. For all we know,
Yeah,
Sean and the team might just come out with a whole new set of features that just clicks a button and then all
yep,
things AI is just done. So it's
yep,
important not to
exactly.
get overly married to any of these things. But Carson, thanks for taking your time with us.
Yeah, 100%. I appreciate you, and hopefully everyone watching learned a thing or two. And yeah, maybe I'll come back on here sometime soon.
For sure. Well, bye for now, everybody. If you want to watch any of the replays or take advantage of any of the resources, these sessions do come with free snapshots and value packs and all kinds of stuff. Carson, before we leave, how can people
Yeah.
find you on your socials? I know you have a YouTube, you have a
Yep.
community and stuff like that, from what I know. Like, tell us where people can find you.
Yeah. So just should be Carson Reed on YouTube, Carson Reed on Instagram. And the main thing I've been working on through my YouTube, because I don't sell necessarily any sort of course or paid program, is all just for people who use HighLevel, that have obviously watched my content. They get access to all the snapshots and things I talked about today, along with community and all that. So it's kind of a win-win, for example, because if they continue to use HighLevel, I'll continue to give them as much as possible, like 5 weekly calls. There's a ton of stuff in there that I've been working really hard on. And it's probably one of the best communities out there, probably the best in the space for AI agencies. But yeah, YouTube content is really where most people find me, and yeah, I'm always posting on there.
Awesome. Just a reminder, we are in the middle of summer of AI. Perfect time for you to take advantage of AI tools. Everything's almost free. I know there's like a 50% off on regular high level subscriptions as well, and it'll be here just for a short amount of time. So take advantage of it. We'll see you on the next one. Our next session will be this upcoming couple of days. If you want to look at our events calendar, you'll see what's coming up next. So we'll see you then. Bye for now.